Part 2, not the second PowerPoint, just part 2 of this PowerPoint. Overview of DSP requirements. DSP is a direct service provider. That's you. DSP must maintain a current business license. You must acquire and maintain during the life of the contract liability insurance to protect all paid and volunteer staff, including board members, from liability incurred while acting on behalf of the agency. You must also provide workers' compensation insurance for personal care workers, respite care workers, and personal assistant services workers, providing services to cell waiver participants. Documentation for such coverage will be required at the audit. These workers cannot be contract workers. They cannot be contract workers. They have to be employees who are covered by workers' compensation insurance. The DSP will provide workers' compensation insurance for nurses employed by DSP as well, unless they are contract nurses. Documentation of coverage or contract status will be required at the audit. The administrative requirements. The DSP has to have a designated person that has full legal authority for the operation. There has to be one person where the buck stops there. DSP has individual to serve as a staffing administrator who will be responsible to employ qualified personnel and ensure adequate staff education, in-service training, and perform employee evaluations. This does not have to be a full-time position. However, the designated administrator must have the authority and responsibility for the direction of the DSP. If the staffing administrator, the address, or the phone number changes, or if an extended absence of the agency administrator occurs, the DSP will notify CEL within 3 working days. A new organizational chart should be forwarded within 30 days following a staffing administration change. The DSP will not delegate to any other agency or organization its administrative and or supervisory functions. The budget. An annual operating budget should include all anticipated revenue and expense items that would, under generally accepted accounting principles, be considered as such. The DSP must maintain an annual operating budget. The DSP must be able to demonstrate that they have sufficient operating capital to maintain operations for 6 months based on its budget and operating costs. It doesn't take 6 months to get paid, but you must be able to prove that you have adequate cash flow to cover the lag time between paying your workers and getting paid by the state comptroller's office. Office hours. DSP will establish regular hours of business operation. You will maintain an office that is open during normal business hours and staffed with qualified personnel. You will identify regular scheduled holidays, and you're not required to furnish services on those identified holidays. You will not be closed for more than 4 consecutive days at a time unless a holiday falls in conjunction with a weekend. Organizational structure and conduct of services. DSP will have an organizational chart showing administrative control and lines of authority for the delegation of responsibility down to the hands-on participant care level staff. This information shall be readily accessible to all staff. Any revisions or modifications should be distributed to all staff of DSP and to CEL. Policies and procedures. You must have written bylaws or equivalents. In other words, policies and procedures. You must have developed and maintained a policies and procedures manual, which will include, but is not limited to, policies related to HIPAA, confidentiality, universal precautions, hiring, and an emergency plan that includes provision of client services. The DSP is expected to comply with its own policies and procedures guidelines, even those outside the scope of its agreement